am doing my presentation for my internship from this past semester. And I actually have a PowerPoint that I'm going to do a screen share with as I talk about my internship. Let me pull that up here. Okay. Okay. So I did my internship with an organization called Cardinal Services. My husband and I knew that we were going to be in Indiana, and so we both actually were searching for different internship sites. And so I did mine with Cardinal Services, and it's actually an organization that serves disabled members of the community, but they also have other buildings, like there's other programs. There's a Head Start program, Healthy Families program, different programs that they have. So how did you find or arrange the internship? I actually started on the internet, which is probably pretty common. I knew the area that we were going to be in, and I had an idea of what I was looking for. And so I had contacted adoption agencies. I had looked for different programs that dealt with social work, anything that involved working with families. And so that's kind of how I directed my internet search. And I made a list of different programs that I might be interested in, and I started making phone calls to see if anyone had ever taken interns, or if that was an option that was available. And eventually I found Cardinal Services, and I kind of briefly went over that, and they've got different programs within their organization, and it was kind of an interview. It's called a Cardinal Connection, and I went in and sat down with the volunteer coordinator, and she just went over all the programs within the organization and talked to me about what they do, and then asked me what I was interested in and how I could help them. And so then I was able to explain my major a little bit and what I was looking for. And that's when we had talked about the Healthy Families program. That is a program that they have that involves home visitors that visit families that might be struggling in one way or another. They're typically low-income families. Maybe there's just one parent in the home. Situations like that where they could work on progressing with that family so that they could be more independent and have a healthier, more stable, more connected lifestyle. And so that was what I was originally going to do my internship with, and the process of getting all my paperwork in so that I could start was a long one. It involved drug tests, it involved fingerprinting, it involved background checks, references, all kinds of paperwork. And when I was just about finished, they told me that because of privacy issues, or something like that, that they were going to have to actually put me with the Head Start program instead of Healthy Families, which was fine because they still did home visits, and one of their focuses at the Head Start was supporting parental roles in the home. So what were your responsibilities in the internship? I had a lot of different responsibilities. I kind of moved around from office to office and got to do a lot of different things. Every 3 years at the Head Start, since it's a licensed Head Start, they have reviews every 3 years, and so a board of reviewers comes in, and they're very particular, and they go through several files to make sure that dates are there, to make sure papers are there. They have interviews with parents. They're very precise, very particular, and you have to have everything that they require. which was a neat experience for me because I've never seen anything like that before. And I got to be part of that. So I did paperwork. I had to go into a lot of the files for the kids, fill out papers, make sure everything's organized and looks good. So for the file reviews, yeah, I just make sure that the files were correct and that they were organized. And that ended up being something good because I was able to catch a couple errors that hadn't been noticed before, and we were able to make changes there. I think one of the best parts of my internship were the home visits. They have about 4 different teachers that each have between 10 and 12 families that they go to their homes and visit the small children there. And one of the reasons that I like these so much was that it focused on the responsibility of the parent and how they could interact with their children. So the home teachers were also, their responsibility was to educate parents, I guess, about the development of their children and how they could play a role in that. And so they would go to homes and play games or have activities, but they would focus on having the parent do it with the child so that there was more interaction there and that the parent kind of understood their role in their child's development. I made a lot of phone calls in this internship. They gave me a project that I was in charge of, and it had to do with creating health goals for some of the children in the building. A lot of them had BMIs that were a little too high, so I was in charge of calling those parents to talk to them about that and to create some kind of small health goal to make sure that something was being done, I guess, to better the health of their children, but also just to set good, healthy patterns for future. And then I was in charge of a lot of fun art projects. How did you benefit the site you served at? I came at a time when federal reviewers were coming to inspect paperwork and look at the fine details, as I had mentioned. And so they were grateful that I was there to be able to go through all the different files and make sure that paperwork was correct. And like I said before, I was able to find a lot of different errors that needed corrected, and which was good for them because these reviewers only come every 3 years, and so in 3 years it's easy to lose paperwork or to put things off until later. So that was one thing that I was able to help with. And like I said, they put me in charge of this project to contact families and make health goals, and then we had to call back. I called back a few weeks later to follow up and see how those goals were going and to create new goals if that was something helpful to them. How did I benefit personally from the experience? I think that I learned a lot of different skills, and I think from each internship site you learn a different set of skills. And from this one, I learned a lot about the importance of having a positive relationship between coworkers, but also between your boss, and how it's kind of like missionary work. You can't really work, you can't be an effective missionary if you're not getting along with your companion, and it's kind of the same thing in the office. It's hard to get your work done, and it's hard to communicate effectively if you're not getting along with your coworkers or your employees or your employer. And so that's really important. And so those relationships need to be positive. And it also taught me a lot about different skills, like being organized and taking the time to do your paperwork and things right when you get it, and not putting those things off until later and letting it accumulate or get lost. Would I recommend this site experience to other students? I said no, but simply because the priority in the Head Start is the children, educating the children and watching their development. Second to that, they deal with working with families, the whole family unit. And so while it was good, it was beneficial, and I got to see how the program contributed to family development. That wasn't the number one focus or priority, rather it was the children. And so I had a lot of good experiences, and I had new insights. But I feel like this internship might be better for someone who's studying education or child development that wants to focus specifically on children. But like I said, I'm glad that I got this little bit of experience, and hopefully in the future I will be able to have more experiences to kind of contribute. So yeah, that was my internship experience. Thanks.